Hey guys, this is Mikro here. I wanted to talk about how to make money with the up-and-coming expansion in terms of items that you could acquire pre-expansion that will likely retain or increase in value, most likely increase in value when the expansion comes out because more people will be playing the game again. Uh, the reason why I think this is a good thing to try to go for right now is the PTR is rumored to be very, very short. Typically, for an expansion, we're just able to look at the PTR, see what things on the PTR look like they're actually going to be used, and then people just buy all those materials right away. All the materials disappear. You're not able to actually make gold off them very efficiently unless you're the first person to notice what is going to change. So in this video, I want to kind of go over some educated guesses on stuff that will change because this PTR window is likely to be shorter. The base strategy with this, because of the actual trade skill increase, will be to utilize stuff that is not contained at the bottom of this kind of smelting, woodworking, leatherworking, and weaving categories, as well as stonemaking to a degree, but I'll get to that later. All these kind of categories cap at level 200, right? So because these are getting increased to level 250, there's likely going to be something that is introduced that is just better than Asmodeum, and we're going to either have to turn Asmodeum into that thing that is better, which would allow the rest of the economy to flow, which would naturally kind of make sense, or you're going to have to or Asmodeum will just kind of be abandoned and it'll be this new resource that you have to acquire to get that stuff. For that reason, Asmodeum I would consider to be like kind of like a medium risk investment along with like these woodworking, leatherworking, and weaving categories. But there are other things I think will be kind of easier or not as difficult of a choice to invest in that can still make you a lot more money. So if you get ingredients required for refining or kind of mob related drops that will retain their value besides without the gear score increase related, you will just obtain extra gold basically. So stuff like this, you have Iron Guardsman insignias, which are generally not super expensive right now. Like these are in the 60s. My camp is full, so I can't go through all the buy orders exactly, but I've been trying to buy some of these out. Iron Guardsmen's will go up in value, they always do. It has been basically confirmed that they will be used with the up and coming expansion due to the reduction in other craft mods that are kind of hybrid oriented. It seems like we're going to be keeping that system. So Iron Guardsman, you have the strength based mods, those will all go up in value no matter what. So those are a very, very safe buy that will increase in value a lot. So if those are cheap on your server, I would consider getting them. Typically with in popular expansions to get up to about 80 to 120 gold, I would say is the range. So if they're like, if you're buying them at like 40 or 50, like you're gonna like nearly double the money that you put into those, but it will take time for that investment to pay off. There are some other strategies too that I want to get into. If I pull up my other screen here, so Iron Guardsman, very, very easy thing to invest in that will get you money. There's stuff like Azoth, which always gets used with crafting, but always goes up with value no matter what, because you need Azoth to do basic crafting. You need to travel around the map. It's something that's been like reduced in terms of its power, but it's still going to go up in value no matter what. This usually gets to about like 7 or 8 gold like near the start of the expansion when it actually drops. It can go up in price very, very quickly to 10 to 20 gold unless people have a stockpile and they immediately release that stockpile into the market to flood the market. If that happens, then they will go down in value, but that's a very good investment as well. But again, it's just like stocking up these on these mats that will be used no matter what. These are the safer investments that still will get generate a lot of money. There are like high risk investments that can go for craft mods for things that are going to get reworked. So we had that headpiece that got leaked that showed that vigor was being increased to 15%. That and same thing with invigorated. Both of those could be used now because you, with vigor itself, you can get to over 100% dot damage reduction along with desert sunrise. Why that could be used is you think about something like OPR where there's a lot of dots that are present, and that could just basically nullify all those builds. So that's something that actually could be used at this up and coming patch that is not used at this current moment. That is virtually basically has no value right now, so you could just easily make money off of that. There's other things too, like weapon perks that are going to be reworked. So one thing I want to bring up is like if you look at Keen Tondo right now on the rapier or on the other gear, you see how this has an increased crit chance. There's a rapier that has been leaked that is in my Discord, shameless plug, and we talked about on Twitch yesterday, and that video will be up tomorrow, I believe. But this rapier perk actually has gotten buffed, so you do 26% increased crit chance against targets affected by Tondo's Bleed. Before that was 21%, and you take 15% less damage from foes is the leak. So this perk is getting buffed, which means all those perks that are just like lesserly used right now, they're getting rebalanced like the dev said, they're getting significant buffs. So if you find any of these mods that are basically dirt cheap for a perk that is not as useful, it's like a higher risk investment, but it could pay off dramatically. Like you could buy something, like you could buy 100 of these mods for 1 gold each, and then they jump up to 150 gold because they're considered to be the best perk, and then on that rate of return, you just made like a shit ton of money. So there's stuff like that that's like higher risk investments, but you can kind of do an educated gamble on some of these perks based off of artifacts that have been leaked. If you want to see artifacts that have been leaked, shameless plug, but go to the Discord that I have and expansion info, and we have horrible memes apparently that are being shared right now, but there's also like a lot of artifact related info that has been shared in here. So shameless plug there, but we have info about that stuff. There's also things like BIS mods that you could acquire like early on here that actually could be used no matter what. So if we pop over to New World for a second, there are things like stamina recovery, which will be used no matter what. That perk is just way too good for it to not be used. So pristine horns are going to go up in value. You can already see the price here is starting to hop up. These used to be 10 to 20 gold. Now they're going up in value a lot. There's stuff like golden scarabs. Like they introduced that material with the last expansion. They're definitely not going to get rid of it. These will go up in value even if they are not used for the pristine scarabs. But you know, you're going from a golden scarab to a pristine scarab, there's going to be some conversion ratio. It's like pretty obvious that they're hinting at that. There's also stuff like motes. So if you go to like air motes, life motes, death motes, etc., like these are always used for gems. It's like a base ingredient that's used for those. These will always retain value or they'll always go up in value. So it's like a lower risk investment that you can go for. There's things like stones. So if you go to pristine, like opals would be like the ideal one because opal is just generally very strong and is used for every single build. Like these stones like will naturally go up in value, but there's also cut pristine opals, which you could still make money off of now, by the way, depending on what server you're on. Like this is very profitable because they're just used for a large majority of builds, but these will also go up in value. So there's like kind of these lower risk, higher risk items that you can go for based off the fact that you're trying to avoid going for a lot of materials that are at this 200 threshold and instead are just used overall. There's also stuff from like the weaponsmithing category and like around these things that you could get that aren't typically thought of right now. So rune glass, for example, they're not gonna likely update this a ton because it came out in Brim. It's like a relatively new release. You might be able to add a new gem to it, but the rune glass itself is likely not going to change. So rune glass will go up in value. So if you have rune glass, or if you have components for rune glass, that will likely get used in the up and coming expansion. So there's stuff like that again that you can acquire right now, and then you can kind of bank on going up in value over time. And so there's just like a lot of this like little things that people don't really think about that I'm sure some of you know better than me because I don't tend to refine a ton. I just refine when I need to gold, which usually is around the time of an expansion. But I'd say share what you guys think in the comments below, but I don't think anyone wants to give their kind of trade secrets up, but that's what I would say in terms of actually making gold. You just need to find that kind of niche item that you know of that will be used no matter what the expansion is. I've put some of those in this video. I have some of them in the Discord, and then some of them I've been going over on Twitch. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video.